Welcome to room 666. Today we're going to be Alright, fine. Give me the stuff. Welcome to room 666. We were recently acquired by Disney, so I've got to do this. Do I really have to do this shit? I mean, come on, man. Like, why are you making me do this? Please. Okay. Right.
Roll call. Cheryl. Bobby. Annette.
Today we're going to be reviewing The Post, the newest film from Steven Spielberg. The film stars Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, Bob Odenkirk, and Richard Nixon. Yeah, that's right. His weasel ass makes an appearance. Let's get into it. The Post tells a true story of how the Washington Post went toe-to-toe with Richard Nixon and the government after they uncovered some secrets of the Vietnam War. Richard Nixon is a rat. Let's just end it on that. Alright, let's talk about our boy Steven Schindler Spielberg. Picture this. Cue the credence. There we are. The Vietnam War. Vietnam vets are trudging through the mud. You see crossfade. Intense eyes looking, typing at the typewriter. There are the words on the paper coming up on the screen. And there it is. And look. It's Spielberg. And, you know, he's going to be good. And the filmmaking that you're going to get, it's going to be visual. And it's going to be tight. And it's going to be there. And it's going to be good. He does his typical long takes that you don't even know are long takes, where the things just kind of bounce, the camera's bouncing around the room, and you don't even kind of realize that he hasn't cut in a long time. You know, he does all that stuff that he's fantastic at, but we know he's fantastic at that. It's boring. Just because it's good, it doesn't make it exciting. And I wish that he would understand that. Look, we all know he's good. He made Jaws. He made Jurassic Park. You know? But then he hasn't made a good film since Catch Me If You Can. And Catch Me If You Can isn't even that exciting or that great of a film. Here, I get a lot of those Spielberg land speeches, you know? Those sort of like, well, freedom of speech will prevail. You know, it's just sort of all of that. It's just sort of it's just too wrapped up in a bow, too nice, too neat. And I need something exciting from Spielberg, and he doesn't really do that here. I understand people, you know, liking this film because it's not a bad film, but a boring film I think is worse than a bad film. I think a lot of people can agree with that. When you're just basically showing off. I mean, he made The Post during Post for Ready Player One, basically. So he kind of just threw it together to get it out by the end of this year. And look, you can't tell in terms of technically, in terms of the acting, in terms of his direction. Like I said, he's going to be good. But you can tell in terms of the heart of what that film is. Because you're not going to remember this film by the end of next year. You're really not. It's Oscar baity. It's just got... I mean, there's literally a cameo from the Watergate scandal. I mean, that scene is so bad. There's a scene there about that, and it's so bad. I don't understand why more people aren't talking about how bad that scene is. And there's just too many Spielberg land stuff. Of course, there's kids running around. There's a little girl selling lemonade for no reason in the middle of this crisis that's happening. There's just too many things that are just too E.T. And I just don't. That might be fine for when he, you know, shoots Ready Player One out of his asshole, but for The Post, I wanted something real. I wanted something fresh. I wanted something for now. I wanted something that had some real weight to it. I wanted something that gave me and took me to real dark places for the subject matter because it's supposed to be relevant to the times. Well, guess what? It doesn't feel that way with that film. I don't feel that way at all. And Spielberg just doesn't deliver, unfortunately. And, you know, people were talking about that he was back and all this stuff, and, you know, he's not. He really isn't. Not with this. All hail Queen Meryl. obviously got to do that every time before you talk about her. Look, Meryl Streep is a fucking amazing actress. But the problem with this role is that she can do stuff like this in her sleep. It's really not that exciting. Yeah, the character has a nice, cool little arc in terms of where she starts at the beginning and where she ends up, and how her, how she becomes sort of weak and she gets stronger as she goes throughout the film, and that's a really cool little arc. But Meryl Streep does not deserve any sort of Oscar nominations for a role like this. She needs to start taking note from Nicole Kidman. She needs to start doing stuff, working with Yorgos Lanthimos and like Sofia Coppola, really getting in there and really figuring out and finding these really crazy roles to do, because we see her do these kind of Spielberg kind of Oscar baity monologues, and it's getting boring. Streep, I love you, and this is not an attack on you, and please call me. I know it's been a while, but come back to us. Just we don't want you to be the Iron Lady forever. My boy Tom Hanks, Mr. Smiley Face, we all love you. You're one of the greatest actors ever. The end credit scenes in Captain Phillips, you deserve all the Academy Awards just for that scene. And look, Tom Hanks is good here. Again, same thing with Meryl Streep. We've seen him do this before. It's not exciting. It's boring. He's good at doing the speeches. He's good at doing the things that Spielberg needs him to do, but it's not an exciting performance. And again, I think he needs to start doing things where he works with different types of directors, up and coming young indie directors, and maybe foreign directors. Just switch it up a little bit, because I love Hanks. I love Streep. They've done some of the greatest performances of all time in some of the best movies ever. But now they can't just get away with this. They can't just sleepwalk through this stuff. And Hanks is good, but we've seen him do this before. Switch it up, baby. Come on. Let's get big. Don't Forrest Gump me. Come on. Hanks, you were so good at that last scene in Captain Phillips. Just bring that again, baby. I love you. I can't stay mad at you. I just can't. Now smile at me. Anytime you smile at me, I'll just, whoo! A lot of people who have been talking about this film and giving praise to the performances, they've mostly been focusing on Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. But the standout to me, and the best performance of this film, in my opinion, is Bob Odenkirk. Now, the reason why he gives such a good performance is because they focus on him. Now, there's a lot of people in this film, but Bob Odenkirk gets a nice little arc in his thing. Not necessarily a character arc, but a nice little story thing that he has to go through. He's looking for these certain papers and this type of person. You go on this little mystery, and when he finds that particular person with the information that he needs, there's another thing that they have to go through, an obstacle that they have to go through. So that was like a cool little story that they don't really focus on, and Bob Odenkirk does a really great job of just doing a good dramatic performance and playing off of Hanks and Streep and everybody around him, because it is packed with people. It is so packed with people that I'm going to have to read them off my phone because I can't remember them, because Disney has me remembering all these other things. So here we go. And they all give great performances. Don't get me wrong. There's just not much for them to do. Now you have Sarah Paulson. You have Tracy Letts, the dad from Lady Bird. You have Bradley Whitford, the bad guy from Billy Madison. You have Bruce Greenwood. He's in everything. You have Matthew Rise, the Americans dude, that show. Alison Brie. Good Lord, right? You have Carrie Coon. She's fantastic, but she doesn't get to do anything in this. You got Jesse Plemons. He's always fantastic in the little small roles that he's in. David Cross. He's just like a little kind of comic relief thing. Zach Woods. He's in Silicon Valley. What is he doing here? Pat Healy. He's a great actor too. Kind of a little small role. Who else? There's that one dude that... And then you have Michael Stahlberg. And he's in everything this year. He's in Shape of Water, Call Me By Your Name. And I guess the MVP of this movie is everybody's hair pieces. They're all fantastic, let me tell you, because most of these guys don't have hair. But in here, they've all got great hair, and I loved it. If it wins Best Costume, I wouldn't be mad at that. Or Best Hair Pieces. All right, final thoughts on the film. Look, I gotta say, you don't need to rush out and see The Post. Honestly, it is Spielberg, Streep, and Hanks basically sleepwalking. And the thing about it is that, sure, it's a good film. Spielberg's always going to make good films, but it doesn't mean that it's exciting. It's boring. A lot of people talk about how the subject matter is relevant and it's of the times. And sure, there's some correlation with what Trump's doing with journalists and the media and stuff like that. But the movie itself really holds no weight. You're not going to remember any of that a year from now. We're not going to look back on this time and be like, oh, the post and the Trump era matched up. It's just not going to be that. There's not going to be that sort of there's no urgency in the film. It's just a lot of fancy speeches about freedom of speech and things like that. And it's very Spielberg land. It's not realistic. It's not like something like Spotlight where you live in it with those characters and that subject matter and you really understand it. So, I can't say that The Post was a bad film, because if you like the kind of Spielberg, Oscar baity schlock stuff, then this is for you. But honestly, I was very bored with it, and I'd like to see Spielberg do something else with it. In terms of being in Spielberg land, that's fine maybe when he trudges out Ready Player One, but for something like this, I really want to feel it. I really want to know this subject, and I didn't feel that at all in this. So, obviously it's something I would say to see, because if you like Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep, check it out, but you don't have to rush out to the theaters and see it. It's not relevant. It's not of the times. You're going to forget about it. Trust me. Sorry, Spielberg. Your boy's coming for you. This is a real Toy Story, and you've got a friend in me, Hanks.